Alright, I know this was supposed to be Fallout Tactics, and then next, this forgotten piece of crap. But some things happened, alright? Life, right? That game called Life, man. I need to level up in that one too. You know what I'm saying? It's just not this little box that I live in. So I wanted to play Fallout 3 and New Vegas just before Fallout 4 graces our fingertips. Fallout 3 is quite special to me. This was my first open world Bethesda game. I've never experienced anything like this open world with all this voice acting for all these characters and the side walking. And that started me on a warpath. I 100% completed Oblivion in a matter of days. I'm not gonna lie to you. The room was a mess. Bags of chips, dirty plates and cups, okay? Bottles of pee.
36 years after Fallout 2, the game starts with you being freshly pushed out by your mother, and she dying shortly after. But it's okay because your dad is Liam Neeson, and as far as I'm concerned, he could be my mama anytime.
Come to daddy.
Anyways, you grew up in Vault 101 with another misunderstood overseer.
Question 10. Who is indisputably the most important person in Vault 101? He who shelters us from the harshness of the atomic wasteland, and to whom we owe everything we have, including our lives.
And just when you start asking questions about what happened to your moms, because you feel a little incomplete looking at all the whole families in the vault. Your father just leaves the vault without even telling you. Damn. Now, because no one is allowed to leave the vault, the overseer goes nuts and even starts slapping his own daughter around just to try to find you. He even had the police beat to death your dad's friend. See, you know, police brutality, man. Preach, my man, preach! Jesus. You escape the vault and start searching for your dad to get answers on why. Why did you leave, Dad? A lot has changed since Fallout 2. The most obvious change is the camera. You can now change between third and first person, bringing to life Fallout in a huge open world, which cannot be inhaled in a couple sittings. Just like the previous Fallout games, the story is never what it seems. You're not gonna spend the first, 100 hours looking for your dad. Even though I would say the overall plot for Fallout 3 wasn't necessarily unique, I have to give it up to the really good characters and the organic feel of the questing. You might be doing one quest when all of a sudden a little boy appears and says his house is being burned down by fire ants and his dad is still inside. So you go on a quest to find his papa, which leads you underground to a totally different area, maybe make a choice to kill the queen of the ants or not, then that leads you outside. Praise the sun because you could finally see the sky again. Then a group of contract killers are trying to kill you straight out of the metro station, which reminds me of my neighborhood. Then you realize there's a superhuman firefight happening right behind you the whole time you're killing these stupid contract killers, and you end up helping a fellow Brotherhood of Steel find his initiate.
Thank God someone's come. You have to help me, please.
The last time I played this was 2008 when the game came out. And now I remember why I almost failed some of my college courses. Even in 2015 with all the DLC, which all of them weren't created equal, the game has more than enough to satisfy not only just the nostalgia, but actually enjoying the game, even though, Bethesda games are known for their special Bethesda jank. It still keeps its old Fallout feel where sometimes you may not get a quest marker on where to go next, but it'll still give you a vague idea. Just enough direction that it's pretty satisfying when you complete it. Not to say that some side quests won't have you completely lost, but it's also very surprising when a quest comes to you, even though it could be, in the wrong times in dangerous places. One of the biggest upgrades to the Fallout series would have to be that everyone is voice acted now. And I could argue that it doesn't mean less story. From side quests to random townsfolk, all voice acted and plenty of dialogue options to choose from. And if you want even more story, there are tons of terminals to read extra backstory in many areas. And when I say this is a Bethesda game, 2 years prior they made Elder Scrolls Oblivion, and Fallout 3 is basically Oblivion with guns. Yeah, sure, Fallout is Fallout, but you can easily tell the resemblance between the two games. Because it's on the same engine, you still get the sidewalking, and every time someone talks to you, time literally stops and you get sucked into another dimension. And then the jank comes out. Some characters tend to be bipolar. It seems by default they're supposed to not like you, so casual dialogue when you walk by them is bad. But when you talk to them, especially after completing the quest, they like you, but you still have the bad dialogue.
What are you doing here? Good to see you again. We'll be here.
What are you doing here? Drop by for another visit? Bring any good tech with you?
So basically they never recorded 2 sets of dialogue for all the characters, and it tends to happen quite a lot that it kind of breaks immersion, I'm not gonna lie.
Good to see you. Leave me alone.
Just like in the old Fallouts, they don't clean up after themselves. The poor kid is still living in the burning house, like his father is laying on the floor dead. Now that I've played the old Fallout games, I've realized a lot of the features I thought were new were just modern versions of the old Fallout games. You can still pick stats that heavily change your experience, like carrying space, unlocking perks, and extra dialogue with the ladies. Skills are also here, but I think carry a little bit more weight in Fallout 3. Leveling repair will allow you to repair a weapon to a certain percentage, which will add significant damage. Leveling science will allow you to do things like hack terminals, which will either get you more story, disable turrets, or turn robots against their enemies. And the game gives you plenty of chances to indulge yourself in using these skills to gain an advantage, which makes every point worth it. But not everything is worth your points, and yes, perks are back. And they're probably better than ever, but some of them are quite useless. But also, some of them are quite interesting. I thought the Mysterious Stranger perk was a sham until one day I actually needed it. Boom! All of a sudden, an Expector gadget appeared. This is the type of guy you don't want following you home at night. You still have a targeting system here, now called VATS, but you can also play this as a first-person shooter. Shooting in the first person doesn't feel satisfying in Fallout 3 though. Arguably, I think the best balance is between the two, because with VATS, sometimes RNG just doesn't give you the hit. So you're gonna have to dust off those Call of Duty skills. You can still target parts like arms and legs separately, but there's no nutshots or groined action like the first games. We have the whole Sniper Elite slow-mo shots in VATS for everything else, but I can't disintegrate someone's sugar plums with my Fat Man. Another returning feature are companions. Sadly, some of them are not very interesting, but they gave them unlimited ammo, which means I don't have to manage them anymore, and it brings tears to my eyes.
Put up a fight!
Yeah, I'm that type of guy who hated grinding levels on party members I didn't use in JRPGs. A couple new additions are crafting, which was pretty basic, and a house in Megaton if you didn't blow it up. I basically use it to store all my crap. And when you're exploring, you find a ton of crap. Like everywhere. You have to be careful because you might find yourself trying to loot something and you end up drinking toilet water instead. Forget the radiation you just got, that's just plain nasty. You can also use some of that junk to craft weapons like the rocket launcher, which shoots more crap. But there's something about Fallout that when you explore and you get rewarded for it, it's so addicting, to the point that you might find yourself in a situation where you might want to kill someone and take their goodies. Or, watch people die so you can loot their bodies. Yeah, that's pretty dark as well. You end up wanting to grab everything, but you really can't, because if you get full, then you would have to stop the quest and go all the way back to your house, drop a load, and you end up basically looting everything instead of playing the game. You can manage all the crap you pick up by using your Pit Boy, which makes you see stats, quests, maps, equipment, basically everything you need except saving. The Pip-Boy also allows you to fast travel instead of walking or taking a car like in the old previous games, which removes the danger of venturing out in the wasteland and having to manage how much gas you're using. But in a world where there are tons of mods for Bethesda games, like adding a motorcycle that uses fuel, or a mod that adds iron sights to your guns, you can just tailor your experience. Which is why I don't use mods in my reviews, because it's like reviewing a different game entirely. Have you seen the Skyrim modding community? But even without mods, I still really enjoyed exploring this just depressing wasteland while listening to Three Dog, ow!
Thanks for listening, children. This is Three Dog, ow! And you're listening to Galaxy News Radio.
Like, look how dead it looks. Everything has this like brown, greenish tint. Basically a poop tint. I understand a nuclear bomb hit, but dang, not all buildings were the same color. The projects have more life than this, but the graphics held up surprisingly well. It didn't cross my mind that I was playing an older game until, you know, more Bethesda jank started to happen. Back then, I ate this up like a melting ice cream cone. It's crazy how low our standards were back then.
2 targets are down. The last obstacle standing in the way is their damn pulse field. You need to cross it, then cause it to overload so we can mop up the place with the T-51Bs. Let me warn you now, ears for Operation Anchorage, so get everything else you need from him.
I gotta say, playing through Fallout 3 again made me remember why I like the open world style Bethesda game. You know, like after playing Skyrim, I just didn't feel it anymore. But when I play Fallout 3, it's just like, ooh. It's like Mr. Todd just hands you a nice warm cup of chocolate and gives you a nice bracing manly hug, just tight, you know, no breathing in there.
There are very few things as good as Fallout.
Yeah. Todd, why are you so sexy? Now, it's definitely not perfect, and I'm pretty sure me saying that people are gonna be like, oh, but what about mods, Matt? Well, guess what? On Windows 10, those mods don't work, okay? So I had to play the vanilla Fallout, you know? I was probably gonna try some of those mods, but I'm not gonna reinstall Windows just to try out mods that won't necessarily help the review anyway. I'm sorry. I gotta say, after playing, I'm kind of glad I decided to go through the Fallout series. New Vegas is next, and I never finished it because my save data got corrupted last time, and I got really pissed off that Bethesda keeps releasing some janky, buggy games, and I just hope that Fallout 4 is not a piece of crap. All right? It won't be though, right? Right? Todd?